Eureka server. Let us see practically why Eureka server is required, what we are achieving through Eureka server. First and foremost one, develop an application for the Eureka server purpose. Application name. Mentioning Eureka server, even app. Eureka server app. You can choose any name. Select a Maven. Go to the dependencies. Eureka server. Dependencies as a Eureka server. Only Eureka server. Click on generate. Choose the workspace. Any workspace. I'm choosing a new workspace. Click on save. Server application downloaded. Only one dependency. Only one dependency. Let us go for two clients to the same server. I'll go for Eureka client app 1 client. Maven only. Name is Eureka client app 1. Clients doesn't require a server. Select other dependencies. First one, Spring Web. Everybody. Spring Web. Second one, it should become a Eureka client. You need to select Eureka Discovery Client. Eureka Discovery Client. In addition to that, go for Open Pane. It has to give a call to another client. From one application to another application, Spring Web Discovery Open Pane. Spring Web Discovery Open Pane. These three dependencies required for the client 1. Choose the same workspace. Let us go for one more client. After downloading, one more client, choosing name as a client app 2. Choosing name as a client app 2. In this client, we required a Spring Web. We required a Eureka Discovery client. We don't require Open Pane. Remove the Open Pane. Remove Open Pane. Generate. 2 clients and 1 server. 2 clients and 1 server. Go to the location where these 3 downloaded. Extract all 3. Extract all 3 to the same location. all three to the same location. All three to the same location. All three got extracted. Now open Eclipse. Import all three into the Eclipse. Import all three into the Eclipse. Let Eclipse is opening. Choose the workspace wherever your applications are there. Microservices workspace. Everybody, wherever applications are there, choose the same location as a workspace. Launch. Close the welcome window. Import all three. File, import. All three applications we are importing. All three applications we are importing. Let me import server. Now select Eureka server app. Finish. Server app importing. Just wait for 1 or 2 minutes. It's downloading, let it download. Yeah. Go to the client 1 and client 2. Eureka client 1. Go inside. Select a folder. Finish. Come to the next client. Server, app 1, app 2. First and foremost one, configuration for the server. What is the configuration required for the server? Eureka server. First and foremost one, open the application class of the Eureka server. Before that, in all three applications, remove exclude all three applications. Right click on your application, go to the properties, Java build path, sources. You can see main resources exclude. This should be removed, then only properties file will be considered. So remove this exclude. Select exclude, remove. Apply and close. Similarly, client app 1 also, properties, main resources, exclude, remove. Apply, apply and close. App 2 also, go to the properties, right click on properties. Under resources, exclude, remove. Apply, apply and close. After removing excludes from every project, go to the server project, application class. Server project, application class. This is the server project, application class. Enable everybody. Enable Eureka server. You need to mark this application as a server application. You need to mark this application as a server application. Just a second. Server application. This is the first and foremost configuration. Second one, go to the properties file. In the properties file, you need to configure inside a properties file. You need to configure some of the properties. First and foremost one, server.port. So give a server.port as a 8761. This is the default port number for Eureka server, 8761. There are some properties, eureka.client, eureka dot client register with Eureka. Eureka dot client dot register with Eureka as a false. Similarly, fetch registry also false. Please check the spellings. No spell mistake should be. Eureka, client register with Eureka is a false. Eureka, client fetch registry is equal to false. These two says like the current application is a server application, not the client application. It should maintain all the clients here itself. It should not fetch from anywhere. It is a server application, not a client application. It has to maintain all the clients. It should not fetch clients from anywhere. That's it. Server is up, server is done. Let us run this server. Let us see whether everything is proper or not. Open application class. Open application class, run the server. Check in the console. Eureka server started successfully at 8761. Access from the browser. Server is ready. We made one application as a Eureka server. We made one application as a Eureka server. We made one application as a Eureka server. Inside this application, inside this Eureka server, as of now, no clients are registered. No clients are registered. You can see instance info. No instances are registered. Server is up. Now let us move to the clients. Let us move to the clients. Everybody. No need of modifying anything in the server. Server started successfully. Even restarting also not required. Let us move to the client 1. Inside a client 1, go to the properties file. Client 1 properties file. All the clients advisable to have a application name. All the clients advisable to have a application name. What is the name of the application? Spring dot application dot name. In the Spring microservices, there will be more applications. To avoid a conflict, to avoid a confusion, go for application name. Spring dot application name. I'll go for client 1. I'm giving name of the application as a client 1. Spring dot application dot name. All the clients, let it have name of the clients. This name will be specified by Eureka naming server while registering. This name is using by Eureka naming server while registering. You need to specify where this Eureka is available. Eureka dot client dot service URL dot default zone. default zone, Z should be in the uppercase. Here you have to go for colon, not the equals. Colon. You need to specify your server application where it is available, where it is running. The server application running at 8761. Inside this server application, you need to specify a service called Eureka. A service called Eureka. This is the client to Eureka naming server. It is a client to Eureka naming server. You need to specify the location where Eureka server is running through service URL default zone. Eureka.client.service URL default zone. Let us go for server.port is equal to, I am choosing 9091. Copy the same. Same configuration required for client 2 also. Same configuration required to client 2 also. Go to the client 2 properties file. Specify name of the application as a client 2. Port number is 9092. Two clients to Eureka. Two clients to Eureka. Two clients going to register with Eureka. Inside Eureka, two clients are going to register. Two clients. Now, just to check it out, whether both clients are successfully registering with the server or not. Go to the main method of application to client 2. Main method. Go inside a main method. Run this one. Don't stop the server. While starting a client, server should run. Then only client can be registered in the server. Now you can see in the console, this is the server console. You can also retrieve client console. This is the client console application 2. This application 2, everybody, running at 9092. Same way, start application 1, that is client 1. Go to the main method of client 1. Main method of client 1. Click on run. Now you can see down arrow. All the consoles are there here. Client app 1, you can see it is 9091. Three consoles are there. One is a server console, two are the client consoles. Client 1, client 2. Now go to the browser. Refresh your Eureka server. Come little down. There is a some red mark message. Ignore it. Come to that down. Now you can see client 1 as a name. If you are not specifying a name, you will be getting unknown. So always provide a name. Now, two instances are registered with naming server. Two instances. One is a client 1 instance, other is a client 2 instance. Client 1 instance, client 2 instance. Both are registered with naming server. So please observe, this is the client 1 which is running at 9091. Other is a client 2 which is running at 9092. Both are registered with the naming server with the names of the clients. One is client 1, other is client 2. While showing the names, it is showing in the upper cases. Client 1 and client 2. Server started. Clients also started. Both clients are registered with the server as we specified where server is available to the clients. Go to the Eclipse. I'll show you. In the properties file of both clients, we mentioned where server is there. The server is running at 8761. That is why clients are registered with server. Now, two clients are there. Two clients are there in the Eureka server. How one client can give a call to another client? Already client 1 having open fail. Already client 1 having a open fail. Client 1 can make a call to client 2 by using open fail. Already client 1 is having open fail. These two are clients in the naming server. One has to call another. Client 1 has to call client 2. Already client 1 having open fail dependency. First to go to the client 2, develop one simple service in the client 2, everybody. Develop a simple service in the client 2. Inside a client 2, I am just developing client 2 service. I am just giving a name as a client 2 service. Let us make this as a REST web service, REST controller. Let me give one SOP. Client 2 service. I'm giving SOP. Also, one return statement. Let's give a get mapping. Let me go for S2. The URL to access this, I'm giving a name as S2. So now we modified client 2. Client 2 should be restarted. We modified client 2. Client 2 should be restarted. Let us restart the client 2. Be very cautious while restarting. Select Eureka client 2. Client app 2. Immediately stop it. Eureka client 2. It is done. Eureka client 2 is stopped. Now go to this arrow mark or go to the main method, start the client 2. Start the client 2. We developed one service in the client 2, so we need to restart. After restarting, if you wanted, you can access the new service whichever developed in the client 2 directly. I'll make a call to client 2. Client 2 is listening to 9092 slash S2. 9092 slash S2. Client 2 is very proper. Now develop a client 1 which has to give a call to client 2. Already we know usage of OpenFain. By using OpenFain, client 1 has to call client 2, but both client 1 and client 2 both are registered with the Eureka naming server. Both are registered with the Eureka naming server by using names. Let us move to the client 1 development. Inside a client 1, first and foremost one, proxy for client 2. Proxy for client 2, everybody. So try developing a proxy for the client 2. Right click on, go to the new, select a interface. Proxies are interfaces. Please observe. Proxy for client 2. Proxy for client 2 inside a client 1. This proxy should have a Fain client. It is a Fain client. This Fain client is to the second application. What is the name of the second application? We provided in the properties file. We don't require URL. Please observe. In case of Eureka naming server, specify only name whichever is used while registering in the naming server. No URL is required. Earlier we were using a URL. Please observe. That URL may be changing from one server to another server. Port number may be changing from one place to another place. Now, no dependency on any of the URL, directly name of the application whichever registered in the naming server. In the naming server, there is a second client with a name as client 2. Client 2. In the properties file, we mentioned client 2. Same is used by Eureka naming server. It is used, please observe. You can see client 2. This is the advantage while using Eureka server. If you are not using Eureka server, then you need to mention the URL. Mentioning URL, definitely hard coding inside a project. Hard coding inside a project is something that is not recommended. So go for naming server. So here try developing public string. I'm just choosing a name as a proxy for service. Proxy for the service. This method is used for S2 mapping. So there is a one service which is mapped for S2. One service which is mapped for S2. Now if we call this method, it will give a call to S2 in the client 2. If we call this method, whatever method I selected, that will be giving a call to S2 service in the client 2 application. S2 service in the client 2 application. Client 2 is a different application. It's a different application. Use this proxy in the controller. Use this proxy in the controller. So let us go for client 1 service. I'll make it as a REST controller. I'll ask the framework to wire. @auto wired. Try developing one service. Client 1 service. Let's give a call to client 2. Proxy for the client 2. Proxy for the service. Let us return this also. I'll print S1 directly in the let me go for get mapping. S1. That's all. All these steps are very simple. Through a proxy, client 1 giving a call to client 2. Through a proxy, client 1 giving a call to client 2 by using proxy. Now, one small configuration is required. Wherever faint clients are there, that should be configured in the application class. Faint clients package name, wherever faint clients are there. Here we developed one faint client, that is proxy for the client 2. This package should be specified to application class. open vein clients should be specified to the application class. Go to the application class. Enable vein clients. Please check it out. Enable vein clients. You need to specify the package where vein clients are developed. So please observe, two clients are registered with the naming server. Both are there in the naming server. One client has to give a call to other client. For that purpose, we are using open vein dependency. Already you know open vein dependency. One client giving a call to another client. One client giving a call to another client. How? By using open vein. This is about client 1 development. So once client 1 development got over, you need to restart the client 1. Restart the client 1. Everybody. So while restarting, be cautious. Sometimes automatically server will be displaying. Client 1 application, we have restarted. Running is success. Come to the browser, give a call to S1, give a call to S1 from the client 1. Client 1 is listening to 9091. Give a call to S1. Press enter. You can see client 1 giving a call to client 2. Client 1 giving a call to client 2. This message is from the client 2. But we made a call to client 1 only. Client 1 internally made a call to client 2. Client 1 using open vein to give a call to client 2. In case of open vein, proxy development. In the proxy development, you don't require to mention client 2 URL if at all you are using a naming server. We are using Eureka naming server. Client 1 and client 2 both are registered in the Eureka naming server. Now client 1 directly calling client 2 without having client 2 URL. So if you are not using Eureka naming server, definitely you required client 2 URL in the client 1. So every time that URL has to change whenever client 2 URL is changing. Now, very simple, just to mention only the service name, client name, application name. You can just check it out, proxy for. We are not keeping URL here. Earlier, we were keeping a name and URL. SR2. That URL, it was hard to code. If URL hard coded, by any chance, if client 2 port number is changing, again you have to come to the client 1. You need to change the port number. Let us consider client 1 running in different server. Definitely there may be a chance sometimes. You need to come to here. Instead of localhost, you have to mention where is that server. So now, client 1 referring just name of the client 2 whichever name is used while registering in the naming server. While registering in the naming server for client 2, we have given a name as a client 2, spring dot application dot name. Spring dot application dot name is a application name, just using that application name. Understood? Naming server and two clients. Both the clients registered in the naming server. I'll just repeat all the very important steps. Everybody, first and foremost, one server. Inside a server, you require two steps. One is make this application as a server through enable Eureka server. Second one, in the properties file, specify what is the port number. Generally, Eureka server taking a port number as 8761. The next one, it is not a client application. This is the server application. It is not a client application that we are specifying. The next one, this server should maintain all the clients, not fetching from somewhere. This server has to create the clients, maintain the clients, not for fetching from some other place. Not for fetching from some other place. Then come to the client 2. In order to make any application as a client to Eureka server, like registering clients in the Eureka server, then in the properties file you have to mention without fail where is the Eureka server, where Eureka server is listening to. What is the current application name, where Eureka server is running, and what is the port number. Then anyhow, you know very well about proxy development. But proxy doesn't require for application 2, inside application 2. Let's move to the application 1. In the application 1 also, this is also a client. In the properties file, same kind of configuration required. Afterwards, develop a proxy for client 2, that proxy using by OpenFame. This is the proxy. Through OpenFame, we are developing proxy. Proxy to client 2. This is the project name and this is the service name inside that project. To call S2, you have to call this method. Come on. In order to call S2 from client 2, call this method. To call this method, go for controller. You can see auto wire. You're asking to the framework to wire to wire automatically. Then call this method. It will give a call to client. So it's not a difficult, very simple. Practice one more time. Definitely you can able to achieve this.